Hello, everybody. Welcome to Media Day for men's basketball in the Heart of America Athletic Conference. My name is Jason Lamb. I'm with KY3 Sports in Springfield, Missouri. And now it's time to visit with the active all-time wins leader in NAIA basketball, Coach Rocky Lamar from MidAmerica Nazarene. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
All right. Well, we need to begin with this being your last season as a head coach there in Olathe. I had to get out a calculator to figure out how many years you've been there. You started in 1986, and if my math is correct, that's 36 years, 35 years in this conference and in Olathe. I guess how would you summarize your career there as coaching the Pioneers and some of the highlights of your coaching career?
Well, to be honest, Jason, I couldn't have shaped my life any better. I mean, I love MidAmerica. It's home. It's where I went to school as a undergrad. And the fact that they gave me a chance back in 1986, a high school coach that was just kind of trying to learn the ropes, and I couldn't have asked for it to turn out any better. And then for the young man who's going to be following me, that even makes it better than that. So I'm very pleased. And like I tell everybody else, it's, really, it's what happens after you're gone that you realize, well, what have you accomplished? And I think that this team will just keep on rolling, won't miss a beat. That's my prediction.
Has there been a successor?
There has not been, there technically hasn't been one named, but
Okay.
in all honesty, my first-time assistant, his name is Adam Hepker, and he was a 3-time All-American for me. And we're awfully excited that he's a part of the program here.
Yeah, I understand he's back on your staff. How excited are you to have him there rejoining you?
Oh my goodness, he brings so much energy. It's been a thrill to be around him again, and I just know that he's going to do a great job. And in fact, we've had some really good practices already. We had our first scrimmage, and it turned out okay. And I think that he has a whole lot to do with that.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about your Pioneers. I know a lot of teams around the country are returning most of their players from last year as the student athletes are taking advantage of the additional year they've been granted. Has that been the case with your squad? How many players do you have returning?
Well, we're returning 4 of our starters. Anthony Brown, who we think he was an All-American as a freshman, honorable mention All-American when there were 2 divisions. And then, of course, it gets much tougher as we go along here. But Anthony averaged 14 a game for us last year. He's going to be a 1,000-point scorer, a 500 rebound guy, probably a 500 assist guy, 150 steal guy. He's really, really talented. And he's done nothing to slow down my praise on him. He just works his tail off, and we're thrilled to death that he's coming back. And then Cameron Brady, who ended up being our leading rebounder from a year ago, is a senior. And he's a true senior. He would have another year if he wanted it with the COVID year. But man, has he come on. He's really, really tough to guard inside, and he can shoot a little bit. And every once in a while, he tries to rebound. So we're really excited about him. And then Pedro Lopes is in his 6th year, which is hard to believe, but he redshirted a year. And then, of course, he's taking the COVID year, and he's really excited to be back and a part of us again. And we never dreamed when we got him 5 years ago that we'd have him for 5 years, since he was a sophomore then.
Okay.
But that's the way it goes. And then I'm trying to hit all these guys that are returning. And then Trey Brown, we feel like, is as good a point guard as there is in the country. Terrific leader. And I think he's just really, really special. And then Jake Alexander is coming back and had a great freshman year. His sophomore year wasn't as good, and he'll tell you that. But man, has he come back with renewed vigor this year. And we're awfully excited that he's made up his mind he's going to be really, really good. Then we had Darnell Miller transfer in from Avila, who's a really nice player. And then I think the other guy we need to mention is Drew Smith, who got some minutes last year, and And we think that he's going to be a good addition for us as well. And then Brooks Langer, you and I talked earlier, but Brooks is from Harrisonville, Missouri. His dad won a couple of state titles at Great Bend.
Great Bend.
Yep. And we're awfully excited that he's a part of us as well. I think that hit them all, Jason, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about some of your newcomers. I know you got a couple of transfers and then Brooks, but yeah, you've covered that one for us. You've coached in this conference for an awful long time. You know this league and the schools and the competition probably better than anyone in the conference. How difficult is it year in and year out to try to come out on top of this stack of 14 teams?
Well, I've always said I think the Heart is the best, conference in America, and it's very, very difficult if you don't bring your best game. I mean, our players overall, other than William Penn, who I think they're loaded every year, but our players in our league, sometimes they may not quite be as good as everybody else is, but our coaches make up for it. We've got a bunch of young coaches in this league that do a terrific job, and it is very difficult to win. It's difficult to win a basketball game, but it's really difficult to win a game in the Heart.
You've been to the NAIA National Tournament several times, had a lot of success there. What's it take to get through and navigate a season and qualify for that national tournament?
Well, you can't look too far ahead. You got to just take the next game as it comes along. And of course, in our league, we know that if we finish in the top three, we have a really good chance of making the national tournament. And then we've been fortunate enough when we get into the national tournament, anything can happen. And you got to get ready.
We saw that just a few years ago.
Huh?
We saw that just a few years ago with the team with Connor Langer playing for you.
Yeah, that was in 2014. I think we finished third that year in the league and then ended up winning the conference tournament and made a great run. In fact, Connor probably get mad at me here, but if his shot was an eighth of an inch longer, we probably would have played for the national title. But
I remember that.
It was a whale of a game. Yeah.
So. 18 national tournament appearances, lots of success there, Coach. What are some of your favorite memories, I guess, if you were able to pick out a handful from your previous 34, 35 seasons?
Well, of course, winning the national title in 2007 was very, very special, and those, in fact, Adam Hepker, who's my new assistant, was the MVP of that tournament.
Oh,
and it's nice to have him back on the staff, and he's going to be terrific. And then, I could go through each one of them. Every year has had something really, really special. Matt Keeley's freshman year in 2000, 2001, those guys weren't supposed to be any good. And lo and behold, we lost 4 starters off a really good team, and that team makes a run and finished second in the country. And that really got it rolling back in that 2001. Then all of a sudden, when we made the national tournament, our kids said, hey, we know how to play here and some good things can happen. Now, the only unfortunate thing about all this was 2020, of course, because we did make the tournament then. And of course, they list you as a qualifier then. So, and those kids didn't get a play in it. And that would have been really exciting for them too. In fact, a neat little stat that we have, and if you came to MidAmerica in 1988 as a freshman and you played all 4 years, then you made the national tournament, which is it's a neat stat. So.
Oh, sure is.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier the relationships, pardon me, that you build with so many young men through the years. That must be awful satisfying looking back at the relationships you formed and the student athletes that you've mentored and helped and as they made their next step in their lives. Can you describe what that's been like and how much that means to you?
Well, Jason, in my opinion, basketball is here, especially for these college kids, for about 4 years, and in some cases 5 years, and then it's gone. So what really makes me the most excited is the relationship that you build with those kids, and the relationship that you help them build with Christ, and with their family. And you hope that through all of this, that they come back 10 years later, and all of a sudden, they're in their church, they're in their community, they're leaders everywhere, and they're great businessmen, and they're great fathers, and they're great Christians. And I get much more excited on the little notes that I get back from kids who say, "Hey, coach, you're not going to believe this, but I'm teaching a Sunday school class," or my kid is going to be 5 years old and playing all the time because I'm really excited. And I'm going, he's 5. But anyway, that's some of the stuff that becomes really, really special, because if you build relationships and you're able to stay in touch with those kids all the time, and coaching is all about building relationships.
Well, this is probably a silly question, but you're an alum of MNU. You met your wife there. You've had a very successful long tenure there. Just how special is that place to you?
I think it's heaven on earth. I love the place. I'll be a pioneer till I die, and it's going to be a very, very emotional year for me. I know that, and I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, there's no place I'd rather be. I think it's the greatest institution, higher education in the world. And that's the way I feel. And I believe that with all my heart. And so therefore, it's been really, really easy for me to be here for my 36th year.
Wow, Coach, that's great stuff. And I wish you the very best in your farewell tour here this season. Congratulations on your success and your career there at MidAmerica Nazarene, and thanks so much for joining us here on Media Day. Good luck to you and your Pioneers this season.
Well, I hope they play hard. If they play hard, we'll compete.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Jason.